The Innovative Independent Living Project was a grant that was funded by the Cleveland Foundation and the Billy Howland Steffi Family Fund. And it was originally intended to be 18 months, and because of the complexity of everything that we were doing, it has now been extended to almost 3 years. It is a project that was conceived by a group of parents and professionals that was to prove the premise that people with certain disabilities could live independently in their own community through the use of technology in lieu of human staff support, and that the technology would provide a way to make it cost-effective. You could then create a healthy and safe environment for people with developmental disabilities. We now have 7 young men living in their own homes. This film will be about 6 of those young men, which are the primary users of the technology. They live in 2 different homes. We're going to talk a little bit about how those homes function and what technology is used in each of them. House number 1 has 3 young men living in it. They were ages 23 to 25 when they moved in. They've now been there approximately a year and a half. One family owns that house and the others pay rent. The parents provide much of the support. The parents take turns with the shopping and directing activities at the house. Each mom prepares meals once per week. They also have some assistance through level 1 waivers, in which for approximately 12 hours per week, they have a provider who comes in to help with recreation activities, other cooking and cleaning. And then they also have about 30 hours a week through a Medicaid service called State Plan Services. The main technology utilized in this house is a series of 5 cameras. And the cameras are placed throughout the household in locations the parents felt were important. The cameras have 2-way audio and 1-way video, and the parents can check in from any smartphone or any computer anywhere in the country. So it gives them a lot of flexibility to go where they need to go, but also allows them to be in touch with the house whenever they need to be. In house number 2, there are 3 young men also, and 2 of them are brothers. They all 3 moved in on the same day, and they've been living there about a year and a half as well. One was 26 when they moved in, the other 2 were in their early 30s. This group of young men are also out of the house every day, and they go to work and return to the house mid-afternoon. One family owns this house as well and is landlord to the other. The families share all expenses equally. This house includes a lot of technology that you'll see later in the film, but in addition has a caregiver who lives in. And so in exchange for free room and board, there is a person who stays there and is required to be there 7 days a week from 9 p.m. until 7:30 in the morning. The young men all have level 1 waivers as well, and this provides about 15 hours of support services per week, and they also get 14 hours of state plan services. We're the parents of 2 sons, Stephen, who's 31 years old, and Brent, who's 27. Both of them have something called Fragile X syndrome, and so they have a variety of intellectual disabilities, speech and communication delays, attention deficit, hyperactivity, a whole gamut of conditions that make it hard for them to function independently on their own.
Well, I'm Tom Algieri.
Lynn Algieri, and my son is Ben Algieri.
Well, we adopted him from South Korea.
He was mentally retarded for unknown reasons, and he has some autistic tendencies. Obviously, you know, his learning curve fell off pretty quick. Yeah. He'd pretty much maxed out on most academic things by about the 2nd or 3rd grade. He was approximately 19 months old when we adopted him, but he was left on the doorstep of the police station in Seoul, so we have no family history, we have no medical history. We know nothing about him before that point.
Tim is 32, and he has autism. And like we tell Tim, he has a little bit of autism that sometimes gets in his way.
Jeremy is 25 years old. He was born in 1984. He's going to be about to be 26.
Yeah.
He has Down syndrome as his primary handicap. He's got some ADHD with his Down syndrome. He's got some cognitive delays. He's very, very social. He has really good judgment, and that's him, not his disability. But he can't read, he can't write, he can't do any kind of math. He's got a lot of pragmatic skills, but he has no money management skills. But he really enjoys people, and he really has an independent streak and a need to be like everybody else.
Scott is 25, and he had a pretty normal childhood up until he was around 5, turning 6, when he had some visual problems and he was diagnosed as having a brain tumor. Due to the surgeries that he's had, his major problem now is short-term memory is not very good. He has some problems processing new information and storing that.
Jeremy really loves a lot of activity in the house, and so he was doing fine living at our home, but he was losing a lot of the independent skills that he had learned, because in a natural home situation, we're doing the laundry, we're doing the cooking. So he did some things on his own, but not as many as he was capable of. And as his brothers and sisters got older, he no longer had some of the social contact that he was craving, because not everybody was home. It wasn't a 3-ring circus like it had been. And as his older siblings moved on, he was kind of interested in living on his own, and he would talk about that. But he liked having everything done for him. So he was getting a little complacent. And my concern for him was the fact that I'm not going to be around forever. And I truly did not want my other children to have to figure out how to help him deal with either living on his own, or my loss and then living on his own, or they would have to take him in, which would be another adjustment. I wanted him to be independent and living as functionally as he could be, socially and within work, and have all the supports in place.
Well, we had put him on the waiting list for residential housing when he was 8 years old. And we'd had a meeting, I think it was in August, yearly evaluation. And, we asked, we said, okay, Ben's 24 now. When can we expect him to be, get into a group home, that kind of thing. And she said, well, we can probably get him into a house in about 15 or 20 years. And I was like, what? Because I'm like, well, that's not good. I mean, he needs to move into a house now.
The other alternatives, which were things like a typical group home, wait for a waiver, which may never come, or will come when we're 80 instead of 60, and Stephen and Brent are then 40 and 50, and waiting for something that could be funded was not feasible. And we couldn't afford to do the group home concept. The average cost of support for a 24/7 group home is $200,000 to $225,000 per year, just the support. That does not include the house, the utilities, the upkeep, anything. It includes only the cost of the caregivers who are there and the transportation.
Now, when you have a kid like that, you can't expect to be tied down to an extent. But at the same time, you always hope that, there's some relief in the end, somehow they get taken care of, and at the same time, we can get some relief from it also.
Well, I think the thing for us was we had thought, that we would have the double house, or that we would buy some land and build a house and another house next to it. And then this great opportunity came up with the project that Jeannie put together.
I had a very definite idea in my head. I wanted them to live in a house that we owned. I wanted it to be a single-family dwelling. I wanted it to be in our community and close enough to what one might call the center of town that they could ride bikes or walk to the store and the library and the rec center. And I wanted them to be able to make their own decisions while they lived in it, but I still wanted enough safety and support kinds of things around them in whatever that turned out to be, to make it reasonable for them, happy for them, and to give us a level of comfort that they would be as safe as normal people are in a house.
This seemed more practical for supporting the kids. It seemed more practical for the technology that went into it, and it just seemed more family-like and normalized for my son. I think he would feel more comfortable in this kind of a setting.
I think like-minded families getting together, trying to find compatible roommates. So I think that was the appeal to us. The thought of Tim too far away from us, say in a group home that we didn't know anything about, the thought of creating something close by home, near where we were, in proximity to us, was a great appeal with some like-minded families.
I'm a pretty optimistic person, and I always say, why not? And so as I'm listening to all this, I'm thinking, I can picture this happening. I was nervous about the finances. I was nervous about finding the right families to work with because, everybody has their own style, and it's like having, several roommates because we would have to work together. But it's, I think primarily I just thought this is such an unbelievable opportunity. And if I don't take advantage of what I'm learning here, who knows when I'm going to have an opportunity like this again.
So we felt kind of like we should take advantage of the moment in time for Tim and for us to do something.
One of the wonderful things about the grant was that it allowed us to try things. Technology isn't cheap, and we tried very hard to utilize things that families would be able to afford. Initially, it was a lot of internet research, and a big part of finding technology and then figuring out can we use it is simply looking at things in a new way. So many of the things, like the silicone gloves that enabled somebody to suddenly be able to take a microwave dinner in and out of the oven, or long oven mitts, which let a couple of our participants get something out of the oven. They were terrified at getting close to an oven. Or a can opener that doesn't have sharp edges on the can so that they can open whatever they want. Those are things that are available in Bed Bath & Beyond. You just have to look at them and think about, could they enable somebody with some set of abilities to have a greater set of abilities? A good example are the PowerPoint stories, which can get people through a menu step by step, or a lunch creation. Those use PowerPoint, which is available to anyone. At least for me, the other item that makes a big difference in my mind is the induction stovetop. Stephen really likes to cook. He's pretty good at it. He likes to make complicated things when he can. And his greatest thing is to watch cooking shows on TV. And so it was really important to us to have as safe a cooking mechanism as we can. And that allows us to not worry that he's going to accidentally turn it on, that it will remain on if the pan is off, that fire will start because he threw a towel on a hot burner or something. It is a very big step up over either electric or gas or anything else that I've seen. I'm expecting that in the next few years it will be 100 times easier to find things than it was as we were doing this project.
We knew that we wanted sort of electronic locks on the doors that would, for the ease of getting in and out.
I had seen those at Lowe's, and I thought this would be great because Jeremy doesn't have the fine motor to open and close a door with the key, and he has no patience, so he'd probably break the key off, anyway. But the door locks were really basic and easy to install and not real expensive. So that took care of that.
That's huge.
You don't have to worry about them, the door being open at night, so I feel safe that they're secure there.
Right.
We also had talked to the Seidenstrickers and through the program, and they had a monitor where a driveway monitor where they were alerted to somebody coming up the driveway.
Someone's coming.
That gives them that little bit extra time to kind of, okay,
They're not startled, but
Yeah.
somebody's at the door.
the knocking at the door. And,
Yeah.
and they will kind of get up and run and go see who's there.
They can be prepared to pretend they're not there. They can be prepared to answer the door and approach the person at the door in a safe way and not just open the door.
I think it was just brainstorming. Well, we don't want the garage left open anymore. And someone said, well, just Google the garage, garage closer or garage timer. And we just Googled it and found that there is it's called a garage butler.
We felt that, they could leave the garage door open and that would be a security issue. So with this, we sort of leave it. It's set for 5 minutes, and that just is another area to sort of shore up their security.
The camera system is there because we were able to try it out, and that was really one of the purposes of the grant.
The cameras, he could never have moved in without the cameras because I would never have felt secure about that.
The cameras are the great thing,
Yeah,
because
that's for us, though.
there's Ben in the kitchen. Yeah, that's his third peach cup. I'm going to call him on the phone. Ben, how come you've had 3 peach cups? He's like a deer in the headlight. Oh, I forgot about the cameras. Now go throw that away, Ben. I've seen you. Okay, Mom.
Scott's major problems are with his wakefulness in the morning and in the evening. But during the day, Scott is quite independent. We're always going to take a look when it's time for him to get out of bed, because that's how we know how his day's going to go. He gets up, and now we know that day is set. Its importance is sort of dependent on the individuals there, and are there times during the day where they really need to be sort of watched closely, or do they tend to function pretty well all through the day? Of course, at the other times, it's sort of sometimes they're just there for our peace of mind.
How do we make sure that the things that are activities of daily living that are health, safety, and hygiene related actually work for them? We had a really hard time finding anything that would actually help with that. And I ran across a company called Creatability Concepts who had practically an engineering design at the time. It was very much a research project. But together with them, we came up with a way in which we could utilize their technology, which is a system of magnets that monitor certain actions and then send a wireless signal to a computer, which tests whether or not Stephen or Brent have performed certain activities that we've said they should perform. A good example would be both of them have trouble remembering to change socks, undershirts. So on the drawers of their dresser, there are these sensors. When they open the drawer, they will take out whatever it is, let's say a pair of socks, and put it on. Frequently, though, they don't get the pair of socks. So if in the morning, by a certain time that we pre-program into the system, they have not gotten a pair of socks out, the system will say, Stephen, you need to change your socks, or Brent, you forgot to change your undershirt. The device on which the prompts come out is a little computer box called a Chumby. And there is a picture that comes out, and it also verbalizes a sound file.
Stephen and Brent, have you made your lunchbox for tomorrow?
We set one in Brent's room, one in Steven's room, and one down in like a central location on the first floor. There's actually one in the basement. I've got one that fires off on every Chumby at 9 p.m. It says, Brent and Steven, time to go to bed.
The same kind of a system tests whether or not they've shaved in the morning, and if they haven't, it will prompt them, you need to shave. It can do brushing teeth. It also was critical in taking their medicine. Both our sons take a significant array of medications that are designed to get them through their daily lives. We preload medicine containers, little pill boxes, that have been specially set up with a magnet on the bottom. We load them for a week. They put the pills in this little jig-like thing that we have, and we have set up within the system tests at each morning and evening that tests whether or not they've taken the pill box out, and if they have not, it prompts them.
Brent, it's time to take your meds now.
If they have taken it out, it gives them a great job, you took your meds.
Brent, looks like you took your meds. Great job.
One of the benefits of this thing is over the internet, I can sit at my computer in this house and check out those meds dispensers. Did they really take their meds? The medicine bottle was in from 9 o'clock last night, and then he took the meds out this morning at 6:40. So when I see that, I say, oh, he's taking his meds at 6:40 a.m., which is the expected time. There's a monitor on the garage door. So last night, they went out to an activity at the Soul and Rec Center, and around about 9:15 p.m., Jeannie says, Mike, are they home yet? So what Mike does, I call up this system on my computer, and you can see, the garage door, you can see the history, you can see where they went out, and then I can see, at 9:28, the garage door went up. That was them coming back. So you have to infer a lot of stuff. But
And the truth is, we don't need to know that. It's just kind of nice to know that they're home, they're safe, it all worked like it was supposed to. And so I think the important thing is it gives us a great sense of security to be able to look there and say, we can see they both took their meds, or they got up. There are motion detectors. This system prompts them to get up. And if they're up and the motion detector detects that, it doesn't give them a prompt. So the presumption of this system is that they will do what they need to do, so they aren't getting harassed every day with a prompt that is for something they're already doing. And that was really important to me. I didn't want something that was sort of a harassing prompt, but that only told them when they needed to be told. That system is very unique. It requires an awful lot of behind-the-scenes work. When we started out, we tried it in our house here for almost a year.
it was a good thing that not everybody can do this, but the fact that we had it here, I forgot it was a year. Mm-hmm. So we could dry run it, get used to it, program it, watch their reactions to it in this house. And then it got transitioned over to the other house, and so the learning exercise was very good.
That system is one of the major reasons, I think, for the success that they have.
So the truth of the matter is this independence builder does contribute to their independence, which is the name of the project.
And the other thing that it does, which is really not, the technical part of it, but it has really increased their self-esteem and self-confidence that they do things by themselves.
For parents, I really think it's important to be realistic. If you're not realistic about your kid's strengths and weaknesses, how can you help prepare them for an independent life, regardless of what kind of a kid you have? They all have strengths and weaknesses, know what they are and just be honest.
You need a lot of time and patience and energy.
We were meeting with support administrators and Medicaid waiver providers and interviewing families to come into the house, and trying to get the home health care system set up through JFSA and interviewing providers, and then, I don't know, I can't even tell you, but it was like twice a day, 4 days a week that I was running to that house to do something.
Furniture and putting together the kitchen and, you know, setting up an entire household. We installing cable, installing the cameras, installing, you know, I pulled out my calendar, and almost every day or every other day I was at the house for hours on end.
Just so many details to take care of, and it was a lot. It was definitely worth it, but it was a lot at the time. It was very time consuming, and I feel very fortunate that I had the time to invest in it.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, and emotionally difficult, incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, I think it's like a continuing education. That's the philosophy you need to adapt rather than, yeah.
It'll never be done.
I want this all in place and then we'll move in. Au contraire, you know, give it your best shot, but be prepared to iterate and keep on building. And
I sort of went into this with the thought that I wanted it all done when they moved in, and everybody told me that that was a really silly idea, and they were right. Number one, you don't know how they're going to function, you don't know what they need, and you also don't know what role each person in the house is going to take. You know, they all have different abilities, they gravitate toward doing different things, and you need to get a sense of kind of, as one person told me, the rhythm of the house and the people.
If you find a house like this, you know, or want to start something like that, you have to be with like-minded parents. I mean, if you've got one parent that's wrapped real tight, probably not going to work, you know. But if all three parents are wrapped tight, then yeah, it might work.
We just meshed so well together, and we had the same viewpoint, the same focus, the same, we wanted the same outcome for our boys, and the fact that they got along so well was just an added plus. But I don't think there's been a time when we disagreed on any major issue. No matter who you talk to involved in this home, it's a family, and we've all been integrated into this big extended family. That has made this home so successful.
You need, I think, a critical mass of people to help with this kind of a thing, because it's, you know, it's so time consuming.
It's definitely doable, and you just take these things one at a time, and you work through them. And I guess the other thing is you network and you find solutions. I think you just can't stress the importance of networking with other people in the same situation.
It's Penny's 1-year anniversary of independent living. You know, a year ago, we couldn't have ever have imagined being at this point. It wasn't something we ever necessarily thought we would celebrate.
It was fun.
It was wonderful.
Just the joy and the happiness everybody had, parents, kids, and all because of something so simple, really.
You know, Jeremy standing up and giving a toast and a speech, and
Yeah, it's just fun to see how much they've grown.
Mm-hmm. And to know that, you know, he's got his own life. He can do this. He's got it. He can do it.
The confidence.
Yeah.
Scott enjoys coming back here, but he loves leaving and going back to his house. This is no longer his house. I think within the first 3 months, when he was home for dinner, and he said, "I'm ready to go home now." And I kind of looked at him, and I said, "What?" And he goes, "I'm ready to go home." And he referred to his home as his home, and our house was no longer his home. So that was very encouraging.
It's a reality, you know, it's real now, you know. At the beginning it was just sort of, yeah, maybe this will happen, maybe it won't. Well, hey, we had a sort of a systematic approach, you know, just going in with this project. And it was nice to, you know, stick with it, and then it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you allow yourself to let your son and daughter move into a new situation. You'll see that they'll blossom.
At any point, we could stop. I think if we died tomorrow, they could function really well on the way the house runs. We'd have to get, obviously, another adult to make some decisions and do medications. But there are so many ways in which they can become more in charge of their house and their lives, and we would like to give that to them. I think we have achieved the baseline. I think all the men in the homes are very, very happy living there, and things can always be easier. They can be better structured. They can be more reliable, but the baseline is solid, and it's a really wonderful thing in their lives.
I mean, looking back, yeah, it was scary to let him go and think, oh, he's never going to do this.
Just take that first step, and the momentum will keep you going. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you will never know unless you take the risk. And if it doesn't work, then you go back to the drawing board. Because if you go into it expecting perfection from the beginning, it's never going to happen, because life isn't like that. But it's so, if you are willing to take the risk, if you can be brave and take the risk, you can shape this to meet the needs of your family member any way you want to do it. And it will meet your needs, and ultimately the quality of life for your individual family member and for yourself too is going to be much better.
Well, I feel really good about living here because, I mean, I'm independent, but I have some help from my friends and family.
I like it, and I like my roommates, and I like it. I got my own room, my own bathroom.
I've really been enjoying it. It took me a while to get used to it at first, but I'm really used to Steven and Brent now as roommates.
I like to live here with Ben and Scott.
Well, my favorite thing about being here is I have friends out here, but I can also be alone in my room. So, I have a choice of, where I want to go, what I want to do each day.
Like, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we go to exercise class, and it's tons of fun.
We like to go on out activities like bowling, game night, lots of places.
What I'm happy about is, I could be away from my parents, but also be close to them also, though. That's what I like about this house.
I like to go home, see my mom, my dad.
Every weekend, I go to my parents' house for a little bit, hang out with my family on the weekends, then come home, watch TV, and go to bed.
There are many things that I probably didn't know that I would be able to do that I can do now, without being told. And I don't need anyone telling me. And so everything's been working out here.
Yeah, I like living here because nice big house, nice roommates. We get along pretty good. Sometimes we share TV. We share the TV a lot. So take turns watching TV. So rest of the week I'll come home inside, turn on the radio and watch the music and read the newspaper.
I'm very thankful to have had a great family who was able to help me make a smooth transition, because there were times where I was unsure, which was a feeling that was very rare, because I started to have confidence once I visited this house a few times and saw what it was like, and I've just been doing so well here.
I want to thank all the parents for the hard work to bring us here at our house, because you guys bring through a lot for us, and this house is incredible because the two boys are here living by yourself. So I just want to say thank you so much for your hard work. All right.